Thief, stop right there. You're not getting away with this. The scream shattered the serene Sunday morning in Sunny Hills, my suburban slice of paradise. I nearly dropped my coffee mug, my hand frozen on the garage door remote. The metal door was still grinding upward, revealing my pride and joy, a cherry red Mustang, gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Standing in my driveway, like a one-woman SWAT team, was Karen, the HOA's self-proclaimed sheriff. Her face was a shade of crimson that rivaled my car, her finger jabbing toward it like she was accusing me of high treason. "That's my car," she shrieked, her voice echoing down the cul-de-sac. "I'm calling 911, you stole it right out of my garage." I stood there, jaw on the floor, as Karen fumbled with her phone, her manicured nails tapping furiously. Stole her car. I'd owned this Mustang for 3 years, a gift from my dad for my 30th birthday. I'd spent countless weekends waxing it, tuning the engine, and cruising with the top down, feeling like I was in a Fast and Furious movie. But Karen, in her pressed khakis, pearl earrings, and a clipboard perpetually tucked under her arm, was convinced I was a master criminal. "Don't you move," she snapped, her eyes wild. "I just bought that car last week, and now it's in your garage. You think I'm an idiot? My name's Jake, and I'm just a regular guy who moved to this neighborhood 6 months ago, hoping for a quiet life. Instead, I got Karen, the HOA president who ruled Sunny Hills like it was her personal kingdom. This wasn't her first rodeo, she'd already sent me 3 violation notices for things like excessive garden gnome visibility, it was 1 gnome, and unauthorized basketball hoop placement, it was in my own driveway. But this was next-level insanity. As she ranted into her phone, describing me as a shady, car-thieving menace, I glanced around. Neighbors were already poking their heads out, curtains twitching, phones raised to capture the drama. Kids on scooters slowed down, eyes wide. This wasn't just a misunderstanding, it was a full-blown spectacle. I tried reasoning with her. "Karen, this is my car. I've had it for years. You can check the registration." But she wasn't having it. She planted herself in front of my garage, arms crossed, like she was guarding Fort Knox. "Oh, you're slick," she hissed. "You probably swapped the plates or something. I know your type, my type, a graphic designer who spends his weekends binge-watching sci-fi and washing his car." I almost laughed, but the wail of sirens in the distance told me this was about to get serious. Karen smirked, triumphant, as if she'd already won. My heart raced, not because I was guilty, but because I realized this was going to be the most ridiculous morning of my life. Welcome to my suburban nightmare. Folks, grab some popcorn, because it's about to get wild. Let's hit rewind to understand how I ended up here, facing a 911 call over my own car. When I moved to Sunny Hills 6 months ago, I thought I'd found the perfect spot, a quiet neighborhood with tidy lawns, kids on bikes, and friendly barbecues. I'm a 32-year-old graphic designer, a bit of a sci-fi nerd who loves tinkering with my Mustang and binge-watching Star Trek. I bought my modest 2-bedroom house dreaming of a simple life, work from home, cruise in my car, maybe host a game night. But I didn't account for Karen, the HOA president who ruled Sunny Hills like it was her personal fiefdom. Karen was a force of nature, the kind of person who'd measure your grass with a ruler to ensure it didn't exceed the HOA's maximum blade length of 2.5 inches. Her welcome packet, hand-delivered the day I moved in, was a 50-page binder of rules. No garish decorations, no unapproved paint colors, no trash cans visible past 6 p.m. She even had a rule about excessive mailbox ornamentation. Who knew a sunflower sticker was a crime? At first, I laughed it off. Surely, she couldn't be that serious. Oh, how wrong I was. Our first clash came 2 weeks after I moved in. I'd set up a small Halloween display, a plastic skeleton on a lawn chair, holding a pumpkin. Harmless, right? Not to Karen. She left a typed violation notice on my door, calling it a disturbance to the community's aesthetic harmony, and demanding its removal within 24 hours or I'd face a $100 fine. I took the skeleton down, not wanting trouble, but I could tell she was watching me. Next, she targeted my basketball hoop. I'd mounted it on a portable stand in my driveway, perfectly within my property line. Karen claimed it was an eyesore and a safety hazard. I ignored that one, and she sent me a $75 fine. When I politely asked for clarification at an HOA meeting, she snapped, "Rules are rules, Jake. You'll learn to follow them." The Mustang was my sanctuary from her nonsense. I'd saved for years to afford it, and my dad chipped in for my 30th birthday, knowing it was my dream car. I'd spent countless weekends polishing its cherry red paint, upgrading the exhaust for that perfect rumble, and cruising with the top down, feeling like I was in a movie. Neighbors would wave, kids would point, and for a moment, I'd forget Karen's reign of terror. But whispers in the neighborhood group chat hinted she'd recently bought a red sports car herself. I never saw it, but she bragged about it at the last HOA meeting, saying it was a classy upgrade for Sunny Hills. So when she saw my Mustang in my garage that morning, she must have snapped, convinced I'd somehow stolen her precious new ride. As she stood in my driveway, yelling into her phone about my criminal activity, I realized this wasn't just a mix-up. Karen had been gunning for me since day one, and this was her chance to take me down. The wail of sirens cut through Karen's tirade, and 2 police cruisers rolled into my driveway, lights flashing like a scene from a crime show. My quiet cul-de-sac was now a spectacle, with neighbors spilling out of their houses, some in pajamas, others with phones already recording for the neighborhood group chat. Kids on scooters lingered, wide-eyed, as Karen ramped up her performance. "Officer, that's my car," she wailed, clutching her chest like she was auditioning for a daytime drama. "He stole it from my garage last night. I just bought it, a red sports car, exactly like that one." I took a deep breath, keeping my hands visible to avoid escalating things. Officer Daniels, a no-nonsense guy with a clipboard that rivaled Karen's, approached me. His partner, Officer Ramirez, a younger woman with a skeptical squint, kept an eye on the growing crowd. "Sir, can you explain what's going on?" Daniels asked, his tone calm but firm. I nodded, reaching slowly into my Mustang's glove compartment. "This is my car," I said, handing him the registration and title. "I've owned it for 3 years. Check the VIN if you need to." Karen's eyes narrowed as Daniels compared the documents to the car's VIN plate. "He's lying," she interrupted, her voice hitting a new pitch. "He must have forged those papers. Or swapped the plates. I know it's my car. I saw it in my driveway last week." The crowd murmured, some stifling laughs. Officer Ramirez raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, can you show us your car's paperwork? Registration, bill of sale, anything." Karen's face twitched, her confidence faltering. "Well, I just bought it," she stammered. "The papers are at home, somewhere. But I know that's my car. It's the exact same color." Daniels exchanged a glance with Ramirez, who was clearly trying not to roll her eyes. "Same color isn't enough, ma'am," Ramirez said. "We need proof of ownership." I seized the moment. "Officers, why don't you check her garage? If she says I stole her car, it should be missing, right?" The crowd buzzed, and Karen's face went from red to ghostly white. That's not necessary," she snapped, but Daniels was already nodding. "Let's take a look," he said. We marched 2 houses down to Karen's pristine colonial, her garage door opening to reveal nothing. No car, just a neatly organized space with a lawnmower and some gardening tools. The crowd's whispers grew louder. "Where's your car, Karen?" called Mr. Thompson, the retired guy across the street who'd once gotten a fine for unauthorized bird feeders. Karen spun around, glaring. "This proves nothing. He could have moved it somewhere else." Ramirez sighed. "Ma'am, you called us about a stolen vehicle. If you don't have proof of ownership or evidence of a crime, we can't proceed." Karen doubled down, insisting I was running a suspicious operation in my garage. Daniels turned to me. "Mind if we take a look at your garage, sir?" I shrugged, leading them back. The crowd followed, turning this into a full neighborhood parade. My garage was clean, tools, a bike, and my Mustang. No chop shop, no stolen cars. Daniels jotted notes, then turned to Karen. "Filing a false report is serious, ma'am. You sure you want to stick with this story?" Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. The office's patience was wearing thin, and the crowd was eating it up. By now, my cul-de-sac was a circus. Neighbors of all ages spilled onto the street, Mrs. Larson in her gardening hat, Mr. Thompson with his morning coffee, kids on scooters, even the mailman pausing his route to gawk. Karen's meltdown was peak YouTube material, and the crowd was eating it up like free popcorn at a movie premiere. "This is a conspiracy," she bellowed, her voice cracking as she pointed at me. "He's running a chop shop in that garage. I've seen suspicious activity, late-night noises, shady deliveries." The crowd erupted in gasps and muffled laughter. "A chop shop," My garage barely had room for my toolbox, let alone a criminal enterprise. I couldn't help it. I laughed, which sent Karen into a fresh spiral. You think this is funny? She screeched, stomping toward me. Officer Daniels stepped between us, his patience visibly thinning. Ma'am, calm down, he said, while Ramirez scanned the crowd, probably wondering how she'd ended up babysitting a suburban soap opera. I seized the moment to set the record straight. Karen, you said I stole your car because it's red. I asked, loud enough for everyone to hear. That's your evidence. The color. The crowd snickered, and Mrs. Larson called out, my roses are red. Karen, did Jake steal those too? The laughter spread, and Karen's face turned a shade that matched my Mustang. Desperate, Karen spun to the officers. You don't understand. I bought a red sports car last week. It was in my driveway, and now it's in his garage. Ramirez, barely hiding a smirk, asked, so why didn't you report it stolen until now? Karen fumbled. I was going to, but I saw it here first. The crowd was relentless. Mr. Thompson, who'd once been fined for unauthorized bird feeders, shouted, Karen, you thought my birdhouse was a drone base. Maybe check your facts. Even the kids joined in, one yelling, Jake's car is cooler than yours anyway. The group chat was probably exploding with memes by now. I turned to the officers. Look, my security camera recorded my driveway all night. You can see my Mustang never left. Daniels nodded, jotting notes. We'll need to see that footage, he said, then turned to Karen. Ma'am, you're making serious accusations with no evidence. Filing a false report is a crime. Karen's eyes widened, but she doubled down, her voice shrill. I'm not wrong. I'm taking this to the HOA board. They'll back me up. The crowd groaned. Everyone knew the HOA board was half scared of her, half sick of her. Ramirez sighed. You do that, ma'am, but we're done here unless you've got proof. Karen stormed off, her clipboard flapping like a wounded bird, muttering about justice and neighborhood standards. The crowd lingered, some clapping me on the back, others snapping photos of my Mustang like it was a celebrity. Mrs. Larson whispered, she's been after you since that skeleton, Jake. You're a hero for standing up to her. The officers tipped their hats and left, Daniels muttering, never a dull day in Sunny Hills. I stood in my driveway, heart still racing, knowing this wasn't over. Karen's HOA vendetta was about to get uglier. Karen wasn't ready to surrender. The next day, I woke to an email blast from her to the entire HOA, titled, Urgent, Community Safety Threat. She called me a deceptive car thief, and demanded an emergency meeting to protect Sunny Hill's integrity. The neighborhood group chat exploded, not with support for her, but with memes. One showed Karen as a detective with a magnifying glass, captioned, Case of the Missing Mustang. Another had my Mustang with a crown, labeled, King Jake's Ride. Neighbors were done with her reign of terror, and I was about to become their unlikely hero. I spent the week preparing for the HOA meeting, knowing Karen would come armed with her rulebook and righteous fury. I gathered my evidence, the Mustang's registration, title, insurance papers, and security footage showing it parked in my garage all night. I even printed a photo of me washing it the day before her meltdown, timestamped for extra flair. My neighbor, Mrs. Larson, who'd been fined for overly colorful roses, offered to speak on my behalf. Mr. Thompson, the birdhouse guy, sent me a text, give her hell, Jake. We're all behind you. The meeting was held in the community center, a stuffy room packed with every neighbor, from young families to retirees. Karen stood at the front, her clipboard now a podium prop, and launched into a tirade. Jake is a threat to our community, she declared, waving a photo of my Mustang. He's got my car, and I demand the HOA fine him and ban him from parking it here. The room buzzed with whispers. She presented no evidence, just her usual bluster about standards and suspicious behavior. I stood up, heart pounding but voice steady. Karen, you called 911 claiming I stole your car, but your garage was empty. Here's my proof. I handed out copies of my documents, projected the security footage on the community center screen, and held up the photo of me washing my Mustang. The crowd murmured, some clapping. Mrs. Larson took the floor. Karen fined me $200 for my roses, and now she's accusing Jake with no proof. Enough is enough. Mr. Thompson chimed in. She threatened to tow my grandson's bike for cluttering my driveway. This has to stop. The room erupted. Neighbors shared their own Karen stories, fines for wrong mailbox colors, threats over kids' chalk drawings, even a $150 penalty for excessive holiday lights. One mom, Sarah, stood up, holding her toddler. Karen told me my daughter's lemonade stand was illegal commerce. She's 5. The crowd booed, and Karen's face crumpled. The HOA board, a group of tired volunteers, looked mortified. One member, Tom, a quiet accountant, proposed a vote to remove Karen as president. Her actions are divisive and baseless, he said. The vote was unanimous, except for Karen's lone nay. Karen stormed out, threatening to sue the HOA, the board, and me. The next week, a for sale sign appeared in her yard. Rumor was she couldn't handle the embarrassment, or the group chat's relentless memes, now featuring her clipboard as a supervillain's weapon. The new HOA president, Tom, repealed half her rules, including the grass-length nonsense. Neighbors started waving at me, calling me King of Sunny Hills. My Mustang still shines in my garage, free of Karen's accusations. I even put my Halloween skeleton back out, and nobody complained. Moral of the story: don't mess with a guy's car, especially when you've got no proof and a neighborhood fed up with your nonsense.